Summer is finally here, and that can only mean one thing. It's time to train for cross country, which is coming right up. In this video, I want to discuss some of my key principles for summer cross country training, and I want to state up front right away that I recognize I am just an 18-year-old kid on the internet. I'm not a certified coach. I'm not a USATF coach. I've never coached, maybe one day, but I want to share some of the key takeaways that I've learned over the past 7 years of my running career. I started out as a 28-minute 5K runner when I first started running, so quite the improvement over the last 7 years, but I will say, to give myself a little bit of credibility, I will be running NCAA cross country next year. I ran high school cross country all 4 years, and I competed at the Iowa High School State Meet in Class 4A, Iowa's largest class, in both cross country and track. My two main goals for this video are to, one, keep it under 12 minutes, and two, I want to hopefully start a conversation with you, other runners, and your coaches about your key principles. So with that said, please let me know for today's inquiry of the episode. Comment below, what are your key principles, key workouts that you do over the summer to get prepared for the fall cross-country season? Let's start with some basics. Education. I firmly believe that it is important to study and read different training and coaching philosophies. It is also beneficial to understand the physiological benefits and changes that occur during a training cycle, as well as how different types of workouts contribute to these changes. There are many great resources available, both on the internet and in print. I personally like Jack Daniel's running formula right here, as he explains hard to understand physiological concepts in easy to learn language. I'll have a link below so you can pick up this book. Great $20 investment in your running career. There are also several excellent videos here on YouTube of lectures by Dr. Daniels, where he explains the different aspects of his training philosophy. He stresses the idea that every type of workout should have a purpose, and your goal is to maximize the benefit from each run with the minimum amount of work or effort. Running a workout too fast may not provide any additional benefit. In fact, it may cause the accumulation of fatigue, which can make you susceptible to injuries down the road, or prevents you from getting the most out of future workouts. Sleep and rest. The body needs adequate sleep in order to recharge and recover both physically and mentally. And as runners, we definitely need more sleep than just your average human. So it's important to strive to get consistent sleep, and one way to do this is to wake up at the same time every day. As this becomes routine, it'll be easier to fall asleep at night and have better sleep hygiene. I have not been as consistent with my wake up times as I'd like to be, but like I said, it'll be easier to fall asleep at night when you wake up at the same time each morning. 3, nutrition and hydration. While it may be true that if the fire is hot enough, anything will burn, it is also true that premium, cleaner fuel will make the engine run much more efficiently. I find that I recover quicker if I have a protein shake or protein bar within 30 minutes of completing a tough workout. Additionally, I like to overemphasize hydration. I try to drink a few of these Nalgene 32-ounce bottles a day, and that really helps with recovery. Your legs will feel better if you are hydrated. Especially in these hot summer months when you are sweating more, you need to drink a lot more water. Moving on to number 4, communicate with your coaches. This might be the most important of the basics. Talk to your coaches. Let your coaches know your goals and plans for training as well as the fall. Ask them for advice, and hopefully, if you have a good coach, they will help you achieve those goals. Many coaches provide athletes with at least a basic structure or basic training plan for the summer. However, many coaches also provide a one-size-fits-all training plan for the entire team. If your coach does have a one-size-fits-all training plan for the entire team, then ask about variations and flexibility to the plan, especially as you become a more experienced runner with more years under your belt. You will know what's best for your body in order to become the best runner, and I will touch on that later. Lastly, number 5, consistency. Be consistent this summer. If it's between running 30 miles a week for 11 weeks and running 50 miles a week every other week, go with the first one. Simple as that. Consistency over quantity. Consistency will be much more beneficial in the long term. Now let's move on to my core principles. 1, take at least a week off between seasons. It's very tempting to want to end the track season and just hammer, start training hard for the summer, training hard for the cross-country season, but you do need some rest to recover both physically and mentally. It's taxing to be racing a lot in high school track, and I think that especially during championship season, it can be quite taxing on the mental side. You actually do not lose that much aerobic capacity from taking a week off, and in here there is a table that will actually break that down. But let your mind not worry about training for a while. Do other things that you enjoy. Cross train if you want, but play basketball with the boys. Just enjoy those last few weeks of school. Use that downtime to motivate yourself to get back into training. Number 2, start at the end of the season, working backwards. So in Iowa, our state cross-country meet is usually the last weekend of October. The spring track season ends in mid-May. So if you count backwards each week, that leaves about 5.5 months or 24 weeks of solid training. The goal is to be at your best in October or November, whenever your state meet, championship race, conference meet, whatever race you are trying to peak for. That's when you want to be at your best, not June, July, August. Number 3, increase your mileage slowly. Like I said earlier, I've been running consistently for about 7 years now. I've built my mileage up over time. I was running about 10 to 15 miles a week when I first started out in the summer before 6th grade. And then as I entered 7th grade, I was at 20, 25, 30 miles a week. 8th grade, 35, 40 miles a week. 9th grade, 45 to 50 miles a week. Sophomore year, 10th grade, 50 to 55. Junior year, 60 to 65. I held 60 to 65 going into my senior year as well. And then over the track winter, I hit a couple 70-mile weeks. And this summer, I'll hold that again, running more than 70 miles a week over the summer. But even then, I'm building up to that. So right now I'm only in the 40s, but entering July, I'll be in the 50 to 55 range. And then most of July, I should be in the 60 to 70 miles per week range. It's also good to take a down week every 3 to 4 weeks to let your body absorb those miles. Don't be a slave to the training log. It's okay to take some downtime sometimes during the season. Take a day off when you need to rest. Number 4, lifting. I know for sure that you all despise lifting, but the goal is not to get huge. It's not to get swole. It's just to get a little bit stronger. Strength can provide many benefits: stability, prevent injuries, make you more explosive, all things very important to distance running. Number 5 is probably something that's more hated than lifting, and that's bands and core. Nobody likes bands because they tear the hair off of your legs, but it's very important to do your bands. Monster walks, side steps, skater hops, all great exercises that you can do in order to prevent injuries. Strengthening glutes and doing a bunch of glute work is probably the most beneficial thing to prevent one of the most common injuries, runner's knee or IT band syndrome, a very common injury in high school running, something that I dealt with my sophomore year. As runners, we often are overly focused on moving forward, which makes sense because we're running, but more side-to-side movements and strength work can help improve those balance and stability muscles which keep our IT bands and knees happy. Number 6, train to your weaknesses. For me, one of my biggest weaknesses is sprint speed, turnover. I'm a very slow sprinter. So the off season is a chance for me to work on my leg turnover and speed, and I try to develop this in a couple ways. Number 1, flying 30s, all out 30-meter sprints with a little bit of a jogging start, full recovery in between reps, which means probably 4 minutes of walking on the track with spikes. It's a great way to improve your speed. The second way is with hill sprints. I may have to go more in depth with the hill workouts in a separate video. However, hill sprints are a great way both to improve your aerobic power, your aerobic engine and strength, but it also provides a way to develop your speed. Number 7, train on the surface that you race. In cross country, we mostly race on trails or grass. It takes more strength to race cross country compared to running on the roads or on the track. So the more that you can train on the type of surface that you will race, the easier the transition will be in the fall. Now, I understand that it's very difficult for people living in cities or living in an area that just don't have trails. So one way that you can run on soft surfaces without trails is finding a baseball diamond, finding a football field, running laps around. Those areas are a great way to run on soft surfaces if you don't have trails nearby. Last year, I spent the summer living in Flagstaff, and that is just heaven for running trails. So many dirt roads, so many trails, all really soft surfaces, and I think that I probably was running about 80% of my mileage that summer on trails, which I believe to be one of the ways that I PR'd by over 30 seconds in the cross-country season. Brings me to number 8, add tempo runs and long hills later in the summer. You probably want at least 3 to 4 weeks of solid aerobic building before you run any sort of tempo, any sort of really long hill workouts. And that's just because it takes time to gain the fitness and you don't need to overdo it early in the summer. And lastly, this is just one piece of advice. Plan your week of training in advance. This helps avoid trying to figure out what to do every day. So those are my core principles for cross-country training over the summer. I know it's not like 5 tips to become a better runner. Maybe a future video will be like that, but for now, this is just all of the information that I've learned over the past 7 years. Hopefully this will help you structure your cross-country summer training. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I know for sure this is going to be longer than 12 minutes, but I really appreciate if you have watched all the way through. And what did I miss? What key principles of yours did I miss? I know that there are so many other things I could have talked about. So for that reason, please let me know in the comments section so that I can discuss that in a future video. Thank you so much again. Run to the max. Goodbye and have a great run.